Well, Montenegro, as a frontrunner for the EU accession and a country that is expected to complete accession negotiations, which it has started in 2012, already in 2026 and become fully fledged EU member state in 2028, has been given this chance, like the rest of the region, by the European Commission to accelerate economic convergence via acceding to the single euro payment area well ahead of EU accession. So essentially, we were the first country to accede already in November of 2024. And in terms of benefits, apart from the fact that you are entering the market of 36, now with Montenegro, 37 countries, which include EU 27 member states, but also the UK, Norway, Switzerland, and small economies that have special treaties, small microstates in Europe that have special treaties with the European Union. You're actually getting into a standardized system of fast, cheap, and efficient payments, and getting a chance to progress as economy. This is bringing a lot of benefits, apart from much cheaper, faster, efficient payments. You are also, as an economy, achieving higher level of competitiveness and high level of attractiveness for foreign direct investment. And let me give you an example. If we're talking about the price and the saving effects for the economy, we're talking about, for example, transactions in the region of the Western Balkans at the level of, let's say, 100 euros, up to now were costing between 10 to 30 euros, which was extortionate because every country, every jurisdiction, every individual inhabitant or a company needed to use the services of correspondent banks, and the process was slow, complex, and very expensive. Now, from, let's say, the price of 30 euros for a transaction of around 100 euros, you're going down to 1.5 or 1.9 euros. So we're talking about 10 to 17 times lower cost of transactions. Second, which is very important when you're talking about time, instead of several days taking for a transaction between, let's say, Montenegro and Italy, Montenegro and Austria, Montenegro and the UK, at this high cost, SEPA, Single Euro Payment Area accession, is bringing the benefit of actually having all the transactions done within the same day. And now, last Friday, Montenegro signed an agreement with the Bank of Italy, which means that we are getting into another transformative milestone of introducing instant payments and joining the European TIPS clone-based project based on European TIPS, where instant payments will be also put at disposal and clearly integrated into Montenegrin payment system in terms of modernization, so that all the possibilities within the single euro payment area, including the SCT INST scheme, can be materialized and implemented. And this will mean that you will not even have to wait a day, that all your transactions will be settled at a low cost within seconds. So these are benefits which are very tangible for the population and companies. But on the other hand, when we're talking about savings at the level of entire economy, if we only have a look at remittances, Montenegro will, and every other country which will be joining a single euro payment area, will be saving between 0.5 to 1% of its GDP, only in terms of cost of remittances, which was previously much higher, which clearly means higher competitiveness for Montenegrin enterprises, and clearly translates into economic growth. Also, if you take into consideration the efficiency of payments when you join single euro payment area, you also need to take into consideration the integrity of financial transactions and traceability of financial transactions. and clearly everything which is in the zone of grey economy being transferred into formal channels. This also brings integrity and makes your financial system and your economy more appealing for foreign direct investment. So I believe that this exercise of integrating and giving the opportunity to the countries of the Western Balkans, to accession countries primarily, to integrate single euro payment area ahead of EU membership was a fantastic step in terms of not only strengthening the convergence of these economies towards European standard, but also in terms of making sure that the European project of a single European market is actually rounded by incorporating all these economies. And I believe that this is the step which is more than transformation and modernization of our payment systems. It is also a step which is bringing Montenegro one step closer for central banks and for economies. Integrating single euro payment area and integrating TIPS actually is just like integrating the country in the EU. You become member of European financial ecosystem. So this is quite a good incentive and quite a good and transformative milestone for our economy. And I look forward to other countries of the Western Balkans joining. We are expecting with Montenegro and Albania that the next in line will be North Macedonia, and then clearly all other countries of the Western Balkans, and hopefully also countries of the eastern neighborhood. It's a very relevant question, and for the central banks, it was quite a demanding exercise. When you're an accession country, and I said already that Montenegro became a candidate in 2010 and started accession negotiations in 2012, you are required to align your legislation, your regulatory framework with the European acquis. And this is quite a laborious exercise because you need to run behind moving targets, because each time a new directive, a new regulation is adopted, everything that you have done actually puts you in a position that you need to do more and more. And Montenegro has been quite agile and quite moving in a quite dynamic pace over the past years. And Central Bank, when it comes to the legislation which was required for entering single euro payment area, was immediately assessed positively by the European Commission on the alignment of our legislation, which is regulating the financial system and which is regulating clearly the functioning of commercial banks as aligned with the EU legislation. The same was with payments. The Payment Systems Directive 2, enforced in the European Union, was transposed in Montenegrin regulatory framework a few years ago, and we needed just to do minor tweaks in terms of adopting the latest pieces of regulations which accompany this directive. Again, when it comes to a third segment, which is related to anti-money laundering and countering terrorism financing, we aligned fully with the package which is currently in force in the European Union, in EU 27. We're talking about 4th and 5th AML directive and relevant regulations. And then what was also very important was the protection of privacy data for all the payments which are part of SEPA, where we fully aligned with GDPR and with all the other relevant regulations. So it was a lot of work on delivering important and bulky pieces of legislation, but at the same time, it was a lot of work in terms of assuring that implementation is in place, and that is what matters the most. And then you have two steps. Montenegro as a country did integrate in November 2024, but now the next step is actually commercial banks and the central bank on themselves integrating the European Payments Council, which is actually boils down to implementing very rigorous technical and operational standards of the European payment system. We're talking about special association, which is association of industry. It works very closely with the Commission, and currently Montenegrin banks are doing the final testings. We had to align with ISO 20022 messaging formats. We had to align with other operational requests, and currently all the Montenegrin banks in alignment with the calendar which was devised by the European Payments Council will be submitting their applications by 18th of April, and a huge portion of Montenegrin banking system, predominantly banks with the parent banks in the European Union, which account for 70% of our market, will be achieving their operational readiness to have the first transactions already in June, but clearly the calendar will depend on the European Payments Council and the Commission. So it was laborious work on part of the central bank, which and currently on part of the banks, but central bank is remaining the coordinator of entire exercise, and it's currently providing legal and technical assistance to the banks and running the projects in terms of operational functionalities and devising the right assistance each time when there is a gap spotted. And I have to say that SEPA comes really beyond, and integration into single European area comes really beyond modernization of payment systems. It's actually creating a platform to be a competitive, functional, strong economy in a global interconnected framework. And I'm really proud that Montenegro was the front runner first to make it, and that other countries will be joining soon. I have to say that I've been coming here for a number of years already. It's 30 years of tradition, and I'm using this opportunity to congratulate the 30-year jubilee. I've been coming regularly as Vice Governor of the Central Bank, later as Head of National Development Bank, and now as Governor. And I have to say that it's a fantastic opportunity to first, network. Second, to present the opportunities and the state of play in your country. And I have to say that it's impressive that this year that you managed actually to assemble 2,000 high caliber participants, which is really, which ranks you at the very top, and which makes this forum prestigious. I have to say that there's another element of which I find very appealing. I mean, currently, when you have a look at the financial sector in general, when you have a look at the financial sector in Europe, you see that that there is a positive trend in terms of female participation in decision-making processes and in appointments to highest position. I myself am the central bank governor who's the first woman in the history of central banking in Montenegro to be at the helm of the institution. And there's a good trend in the region, but if we have a look at the Euro system, out of all the countries which are there, only the president, the ECB president, Christine Lagarde, is the only woman in the room. So I have to say that here I find an excellent opportunity to actually liaise with fantastic and promising female leaders, given the fact that back at home, back in Montenegro, I'm at the helm of several programs, including economic empowerment of women and the Women on Boards program, trying to make sure that in large public and private companies, women do account, or less represented gender, let's put it like that, account for 40% of, minimum 40% of board positions and 33% of executive directorship positions. And we have seen quite a good outcome in terms of progression. And I believe that when you have a chance to share the progress and the initiatives that are taking place in your jurisdiction, and when you have a chance to network with the right leaders, irrespective of gender, you're actually making significant progress. And when we're talking about our region, and we are talking about economic growth and convergence with the European Union, Recently, there was a study conducted by the IMF which said that if in Montenegro, in my country, you were to uplift the participation of female labor force in economic activities in Montenegro, that's by at the level of 75% of adjacent jurisdictions, that you would actually have the increase of 6% in GDP. So we shouldn't really ignore the fact that there is significant untapped potential in the female labor force at all levels, and that this is a segment which is particularly important for countries of the Central, Eastern and Southeastern Europe, and that we need to use our positions to incentivize and to put in force this untapped potential to ensure high economic growth and high performance of our economies.